electricity, telephone, food, clothing, appliances, the houses and apartments in which we live. Every one comes from some man or men who have worked to produce them and get them to us. Yet we may never have seen any of these men. We sometimes depend on and trust the distant supplier of our needs more often than the man whom we see daily. The one with whom we work, we say, we know too well to trust. Yet, without a certain amount of trust, there can be no real unity or spirit of cooperation. David Summers finds something like this going on at school, and it leads to something even bigger at his father's plant.
Hey, Freddie, come here. I got a great idea.
Yeah?
Yeah, look, when Benny comes to his locker, you talk to him. And then I'll put this on his sweater.
Squeeze me, I Bart. What's this all about?
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Get it, isn't that great?
Yeah, but why always Ben? I mean that mouse in his pocket yesterday.
Oh, hey, cut it. Here he comes. Now look, you talk to him, like I told you. And then I'll do the rest.
Come on, Harry. Why me, huh? Hiya, Ben.
Hello, Fred. How are you doing?
Great, Benny, great. Say, I was wondering if you could answer me a question.
Maybe I can, if you ask it.
Well, I was wondering, what do you really call that hat you always wear?
Oh, this? Mostly we call it a yarmulke.
A what?
But it really should be called a kippah.
Hi, Ben, Fred.
Hello, David.
Hi, Dave. Harry. Hey, Harry, what are you up to anyway?
Hey, what do you mean, Dave?
It sure looked to me like you were putting something on Ben.
Who, me?
What is it, David?
I think they're trying to play a joke, Ben.
Another one? I guess you have to take the good with you.
Oh, look, Dave, it was funny.
Yeah, kinda. But it was too much, Harry. You're always playing something on Ben. I shouldn't have got mixed up with you or your stupid son.
You got no business interfering, Dave.
I was just passing, but one thing's sure, Harry. You can't go around badgering people all the time.
Forget it. Come on, Fred.
See ya, Dave, Ben.
So long, Fred.
See you. Hello, Dad.
Hello, Dave. How'd things go today?
Oh, all right, I guess. Say, what are you working on?
It's the bookcase I'm fixing for Debbie's room.
You want some help?
Not right now, thanks. I'm just about finished here now, but as soon as I get through, you can help stain it.
Sure thing. Say, Dad, you know, there was something that did happen today. Ben Freiberg's been catching more than his share of digs recently.
Oh, yes?
Well, two of the boys were trying to play a trick on him, and, well, I caught them.
Well, you didn't get into any trouble, did you?
Oh, no, nothing like that. They were just trying to pin a sign on the back of Benny's sweater. But, you know, it sure got me to thinking.
Well, how do you mean, Dave?
Well, it seems like some of the kids, well, they just can't get along. You'd think they'd have to sooner or later.
Well, you sure would think so, wouldn't you? But I've seen those same attitudes often carried over into adult years.
But, Dad, you don't mean that men carry on like that at your plant?
Well, they don't go around pinning signs on each other's sweaters or playing little practical jokes on each other, but it can be a lot worse than that.
What do you mean, Dad? Don't tell me the men can't get along with one another at Goodman's.
Well, they do normally, but we did have a problem a while back that's beginning to iron itself out.
Well, what sort of problem was that?
Well, it seems that two of the printers just could never see eye to eye on anything. They were always at each other's throats for one thing or another.
They must be pretty tough men.
Oh, not really. If you took them individually, they're both fairly reasonable and intelligent. But if you put them together, something just seems to happen and they just can't seem to see any good in each other.
It would seem you should be able to get them to see the importance of getting along. Were you able to help them any?
Well, I had to do something. Unhappy men have a definite effect for the worse on any activity, and it was no different here. The quality and production of both men's work was down.
Well, what happened?
Well, let's start with something that occurred, I'd say about 3 weeks ago. I think it was a Monday. I went to the printing presses to check a job, and...
So help me, Clint. If that Maximilian Blockwell says one more word about the way I handle that press, I'm gonna...
Oh, come on, Jerry. Joe Summers already talked to you two about the way you ride each other.
I don't care. Max thinks he's an A number 1 class printer. To hear him talk, he's the beginning and the end of printing.
I'm telling you something, Jerry. If you keep that talk up, you're going to have us all in trouble. You know Summers doesn't go for all this bickering.
Bickering? I tell you the truth. And you say I'm bickering.
Watch it, Jerry. Here comes Max.
Hello, Clint.
Hi, Max.
Hey, Jerry. I hate to say it, but I was right. I showed that two-color job you did to Mr. Goodman and...
Oh, yeah, I know. And he thought it stunk.
Well, I can't help it if you won't listen to me.
Listen to you? Why, you...
Come on, guys, cut it out.
Don't tell me to cut it out. I was only trying to show him where he went wrong. He's the one that started it.
Me? Why?
Hold it. Joe Summers is coming. If he sees all this, you know what he's going to say. Maybe you should talk it over with him.
Ah, you kidding.
What's the matter? You afraid to talk to Joe?
I'm going back to my press.
Well, what did you do, Dad?
Well, I really didn't know what had happened, but I could see that something was going on, so I took Max and Jerry aside and cautioned them about getting along with each other.
Well, did it do any good?
Well, on the surface. But all that really happened was they just stopped talking to each other.
You mean they stopped talking to each other for a stupid thing like that?
Well, it wasn't only that. A number of things contributed, but most of all, it was their whole attitude toward each other.
Well, couldn't anything more be done to get them together?
Well, did you ever think sometimes you can get people together when there is a crisis who wouldn't get together otherwise?
Oh, yes. I remember the newspaper said that once. When they had a subway strike in New York, why, people all over the place were helping each other get to work or wherever else they had to go.
Well, that was a crisis. Everybody appreciated that they had to stick together. And that's what happened to these two. Last Thursday, something happened that forced them to get together.
Hey, men, there's a fire across the street.
Fire?
Yeah, Payne's warehouse. There's smoke all over the place.
Come on, let's take a look. A couple of minutes break won't hurt anything.
I wonder how it got started.
No telling.
Boy, that's going to be a big one. Did somebody call the fire department?
I just saw someone run to the box.
Say, isn't that somebody on the roof over there?
Couldn't be.
But I'm sure I saw somebody when the smoke cleared.
What did anybody be doing on the roof?
How do I know? I only saw him there.
Look, I just saw him too.
That's right. There he is, sure enough.
The fire will get him if he doesn't get down from there.
Oh, don't worry. The fireman will get him down.
If they don't get here in a couple of minutes, all they'll bring down is a corpse.
Say, I'll bet if you could get on the top of the building next to the warehouse, you could swing a rope down to him.
Hey, are you trying to say we should get him down?
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, before he broils. Now look, Jerry. There's a long rope over there near my press. Can you get it? Clint and I will see if we can get over to the top of that building somehow.
Well, I don't know.
Will you just forget what you think about Max for once, Jerry? There's a man's life at stake.
Oh, all right.
We'll meet you over there on the roof.
I see him. It looks like he's unconscious.
Where's Jerry with that rope? I knew I shouldn't have trusted him.
Just hang on a minute. He'll be here.
Yeah, but the guy will have had it, too.
Come on. Give him a chance, Max. Hey, look. Here he is now.
Sorry I was delayed. I had trouble finding the rope.
Well, you're here anyway. But that fellow is laid out right now. Even if we did throw him the rope, he won't be able to get it.
I've got an idea. Two of us could hold the rope while one goes down over the side of the building. Then tie the rope around that fellow's arms. I know two can pull him up.
Yeah, but what about the one who went down?
We'd pull him up after.
That's risky.
Well, suppose you were down
Yeah,
there.
suppose you were there.
Okay. I guess somebody's got to do it. I elect me.
No, you better make it me.
Look, I'm the logical choice. The other two men are going to have to do the lifting. And I'm the smallest of us three.
It makes sense, Max.
Well, I guess...
Well, if you're going to talk all day about it, it'll never get done. Come on, get this rope around me.
Come on, Max.
Here,
All
tie
right.
it.
Tie it a little
Okay.
tighter.
Don't
Up
let
under
it
his
slip.
arms.
All right.
That's got it. Let me down easy, fellows.
All right. We've got you.
Hold on,
We've
try
got
a
you
minute.
now. Don't worry. We've got you. Can you see him?
Yes, he's almost to him. He's taking off the rope. He's got it around him now. Okay. He's signaling.
All right, now. Let's pull.
Pull!
Yeah. Pull.
Oh, pull! Come on! I got him. Give me a hand, Max.
Quick. We better get Jerry out of there now.
I can't see him. There's too much smoke. Oh, yeah, there he is.
Don't talk. Get the rope over, quick.
He doesn't see it. Oh, now he's got it. Hold it. All right. Pull, quick.
Pull now. fellow. Get him up here, Jerry.
Boy, am I glad to see you.
That makes two of us, fellow.
How's our man?
I think he's going to be all right.
And not a minute too soon.
Well, those three came back into the shop like the three closest friends you ever saw.
That's great, but it sure took a lot to shake them to their senses.
Well, that's what you'd think. But it didn't take more than a few days for all of that goodwill to wear off.
Don't tell me they're back to fighting with each other.
No, that's not the problem. But it takes more than one crisis faced together to make people get along. Remember, you mentioned that subway strike in New York.
That's right.
Well, remember what happened after the strike was settled?
Yes, everybody went back to being what they were before.
Exactly. All that goodwill just melted off.
Oh, why?
Well, you see, son, if a friendship isn't founded on something solid, it won't last.
Oh, something solid like the Bible?
That's right. Remember a few minutes ago we mentioned about putting up with one another in love? Well, that comes from a scripture in Colossians chapter 3, and it said, "Clothe yourselves with the tender affections of compassion, kindness, lowliness of mind, mildness, and long-suffering. Continue forgiving one another freely, if anyone has a cause of complaint against another."
Well, that could be a pretty hard thing to do.
Sure, but look how much better off just these men would be if they'd learn to be compassionate and forgive one another. It's not always easy to remember to put the shoe on the other foot.
What do you mean?
Well, you've got to think that somebody else may be having to put up with you.
Oh, so you make allowances for him, just like he makes allowances for you. But why can't everybody see that, Dad?
Well, it just doesn't seem to be human nature. If everybody did it automatically, there would never have been any need to write it in the Bible.
Hey, that's a good point.
If those boys at school and those men at work could just apply the principle of being long-suffering and forgiving to one another freely, they'd find it so much easier to get along.
Well, I don't know about the fellows down at your plant, but somehow I just can't see the boys at school applying a principle like that.
Well, that's just it, Dave. Don't expect everybody to do it because they won't. But you be sure that you do.
Yeah, I sure will. But say, Dad, did you ever get to talk to Jerry and Max about this?
I sure did. Their attitude was interfering with production. Well, they both agreed the idea was sensible.
But didn't you say they went back to their old ways?
Well, not exactly. It's just that their basic attitude hadn't changed. Anyway, they agreed to try to work on it. Who knows, maybe they'll be the closest friends you ever saw one of these days. But the important thing we all have to learn, Dave, is to put up with one another and get along.
Oh, this is a good lesson for me.
Well, I'm glad it is, Dave. Say, how about giving me a hand getting your sister's bookcase stained?
It is not always easy to get along with other people, but it is necessary. The Bible has shown us convincingly that the way to all successful human relationships may be found through the counsel in its pages.